basically, let's use rock and roll as an example. Back in the day when rock and roll was created in the South, and then people would hear it, and they would be influenced by a particular artist, like let's say Little Richard, right, or Chuck Berry, one of the originals. People would try to copy him, but they didn't. They had a couple of things to work with, so they would hear what they liked, and then they would try to replicate it. And in doing so, they were completely different people. They would change something up. Like for example, Elvis, or he would change it a little bit. He would add something to it, and then somebody would hear him, and they would change something. So, during World War II, Hitler destroyed all the infrastructure, and what suffers most during war is art. So they would have American records to play. In doing so, they would add their spin and their culture into it, and you got like the Beatles, you got Rolling Stones, which were really inspired by Southern blues, and then they came to America, and they inspired people with their style, and then you would get Americans trying to copy their style, and so forth and so forth. Then eventually you get punk, and then punk goes over to England. They try to copy it. They end up creating metal, and then metal comes back to America. We create thrash metal because it's an amalgamation of punk and metal, and back and forth, and it keeps going back and forth till you create a bunch of subgenres, and it keeps creating new styles. So let's say with like country music or hip hop, you eventually plateau with the styles because they don't relate to it. It's a strictly American art form. So
you have nobody to copy.
You have nobody. You don't have enough people to inspire.
And when people copy themselves, then it's if you copy somebody else, then you end up, okay, like here's my take on your thing. But if we're doing our own take on our own thing, it's like super diluted already. It's like, okay, like it's like copying, for lack of words, it's like copying crap. Like it's like already, like it's gonna end up where people keep copying each other, and eventually gets diluted. Like indie rock's really big now, and all it is like how old punk was. But then they have like pussy ass people doing it, so then it sounds bitch made. Like indie rock, and indie rock is supposed to be the new, like you hear all over, like it's the popular thing, like, and it's crap. And I know people like it. Like people are into like Kings of Leon and 21 Pilots and all these bands, and like it's like all they did was copy other people that like suck, and it's all like wuss rock. Well, and it was cool in the 60s because people had something to say, but now you have wussies who like don't have anything cool to say, and they don't even rock, and they're not even that good.
Most art forms are built up by the disenfranchised, right? So like the poor people, the people with pain, like that's the cliche, right? That pain creates art. So once at a certain point, there's people without pain trying to replicate.
They're trying to make up pain.
Right.
Like
and it translates. So
it's why hip hop flourished so much in the 80s, because we wanted to see like, okay, like what else is out there made by like real people. It was a new take on, like in the 60s it was like, okay, they talked about things that were going on, issues then, but now there weren't any issues. Now where are the issues going? In the streets and the culture, things going on like racial divides. So it provided, so that's why it was so good. It was a new perspective on new things, and then, but now it's interesting because we're in a time where there's a lot of bullshit going on. So there should be somebody coming out with some good music, should be able to take a good direction soon, because it's getting crazy. But I'm afraid that because we live in the ringtone generation and the time where like our attention spans don't even give music the respect it used to deserve, so it doesn't matter anyway because albums are dead.
So
like,
what do you do? What do you do when the culture, the big culture, assimilates the small culture that's building up in art form or style?
Then I can't think of how to call it, but that's pretty much what it is. It's happening. It's like, right. Hey, like businesses, for some reason the business world knows how to find the next big thing and ruin it before it gets to flourish. How do you bring it back?
Is it just tainted once it's been?
It has to be up to the artist, so what they're willing to do, because if the artist wants to, what we talk about, people taking a stand and stuff, the more musicians take a stand and say things that might turn people off, the more they turn off certain businesses. Well, I'm into a band like I like Slipknot, and some people say, oh, they're sellouts because they're a big label band, and they weren't a big label band. They became big. They didn't really do anything that would call you a sellout. They're still on a small label, but they do big band things. But their audience is a very narrow market. So
But can you bring it back though? Can you bring it back?
I don't know. It's hard to say because all I see is people just going back. Instead of bringing it back, they just go listen to stuff that already existed. Like why would somebody go?
Sample it.
Yeah, why would somebody go try to be Zeppelin when we can just go listen to Zeppelin? Why would someone try to hear? Why would someone need to try to be Elvis or the Beatles or something when they can just go listen to them already?
Is it the internet's fault? I mean, before the internet, you would have to kind of gather different influences.
Yes and no, because for me, I'm a musician, but I don't pay for music. I say this all the time. I'll tell people I download because if people made music worth paying for, I'd buy it.
No, but I mean, is it the internet's fault that before you would have an influence, right? Like your personality, you would relate to an artist that just spoke to you for some reason that relates to whatever it is that you like, and then you would try to mimic him, and then you would accidentally create a new style. But now you can actually find somebody you like, which is probably going to be dictated by the internet.
You can find
you have that timestamp, and you can literally replicate exactly.
I see what you mean.
Like the beat of what he's.
You
doing.
can listen. You can fine tune your search to find people who you already like versus maybe we'd hear MTV forced us to hear things that maybe I wouldn't have listened to that if it wasn't the only thing around.
Right, but
but now with the internet, you can be like, oh, well, I want to hear this, and if I can't find this, I don't want to hear it.
Even during the MTV era, you didn't have the internet to where you can go and actually get an exact blueprint of how he does everything.
Oh, to see how it's done.
You would kind of get it from memory, and then you would create your own thing, and then that would, you would then influence somebody else.
Well, see, now you're touching on something else because with MTV, you talk about MTV. MTV used to do really cool things like we're in the studio with so-and-so. They used to take the time to show how music was made. MTV doesn't even take the time to play a whole music video anymore.
But
so
you think it's the internet's fault? You think if they turn off
I
the
would,
internet,
this sound. I want to say yes because it's fun to blame technology, but I have to say. The one thing the internet has done for me, though...
Art's what suffered the most, right, with the internet?
Yes and no, because I think for everyone, for me, yeah, we see people who are like, wow, that guy's so badass, I'm going to give up because he's so dope, why would I try? And then there's someone else who's like, hey, look, he did it, or she did it, so maybe I can
but
do it.
You're not getting the standout people anymore. You're not getting those people that in 20 years, people are going to be like, going, that was... somebody different.
Well, we talk about
my music, huh?
No.
Well, I've heard of the internet, people are. Well, YouTube has created a new
What do you
kind
remember
of
from
star.
2000 to 2010?
White Stripes. No, White Stripes right away. Rage Against the Machine was still banging in 2000.
Do you think that they're gonna be remembered in 30 years?
Rage Against the Machine, yeah.
they're from the 90s.
Rage Against the Rage. If we're just saying just Rage Against the Machine.
Who in the last 16 years is gonna be remembered in 30 years?
Besides Rage, or who? Well, who's gonna be remembered in 30
From
in 30 years?
2000 on.
From 2000 on.
And if you can't think of anybody off the top of your head, then that kind of...
I can, in all areas. Well, I think people are anybody. I think Jay-Z. People are gonna be talking about people. I think people are gonna talk about Pharrell still. I think people will
In 30 years, you think people are gonna talk about Pharrell and the Neptunes?
Yes, because he's been around since the 90s. Nobody even realized that. People are barely realizing now that Pharrell did work on with Rex and Effects and Teddy Riley and
He's pretty badass.
yeah. See,
He produced
He's
Rum
gonna be
Shaker, right?
on everyone's ear forever. I already know.
you know what? I know people are on the fence about him. I think people will talk about Drake. I really do. People are going to talk about Lil Weezy. People are going to, because they did things. And let's
in 30 years.
And if we're talking about 2000,
Yeah.
I think even in 2000,
Mans is here.
Metallica is still something. So if you, it's great. It depends on what we're talking about. I don't know.
I don't know. I don't think anybody's gonna
Smoking
be
Chinese peanuts.
relevant in 30 years.
30 years. Well, it's hard. Who knows? Like, here's the thing: is like people are doing things like okay, if the 80s is almost 20 years ago, who would have thought people would look back and want to say, I actually credit Blondie and Duran Duran, because in the 90s we shit on those groups. We're like 80s people, but now that time's gone on, it's like
it's just a matter of time before the nostalgia factor builds them up even higher.
yeah. And I do believe I had a friend I were talking like nothing is nothing really is original anymore. It's like a take off of things, and people could, I mean, we strive to be original, but everybody comes from some influence all the time, because music is a language. We don't just start talking it on our own. We have to learn how to speak it from somewhere else, and then we adopt that language to how we're going to use it. So I guess, and then if you are wondering if the internet's ruined the music, it's hard to say, because without the internet I wouldn't have gotten into like EDM and heard all kinds of dope groups like Chromeo, Chick, Ghost Line Observatory, like Boombox. Like, I wouldn't have heard of any of these groups without the internet. So the internet's helped me find cool music, but it's also helped me dilute the shit out of it. I guess it's like another tool. It's just how you use it, how people use it.
Do you think music would get better if they shut off the internet for, let's say, a year?
I don't know, because the thing about I had a guitar conversation. Actually,
Oh yeah, no, here for sure.
Yeah, so basically, to recap, what I was telling them was that I think the problem with music is the fact that back in the day, right? Let's start with rock and roll.
Mm-hmm.
Rock and roll started in the South. Then you got like the coasters picking up influence. You get Elvis that influences even more people. It spreads over to Europe. The English pick it up. They create the Beatles, the Rolling Stones. At that time, they didn't have any music, so they were just listening to like Southern blues and all that kind of stuff. In their attempt to replicate it, they inject their culture.
you said how
Yeah.
everybody heard what they
create
heard.
something. They
Everybody
create
creates
something
their
new.
own version of something.
And evolve it.
And that's how
Yeah,
music's
yeah.
been spreading. So now that we don't have that, because like let's
Because
say
everybody
country
can fine
music-
tune their
Oh.
searches. You're like, oh well, I'm not hearing what's available to me. I'm hearing anything I
Yeah,
want.
like,
so
like you get like country
Instant
like, hip-hop that's
gratification?
plateaued.
Yeah.
I was talking about that today. I was actually saying like what ruins everything is convenience. You know what I'm saying? Like that's literally what ruins everything. And so yeah, it might mess up music. You know what I'm saying? Like I would have to agree with that, because it is like you say, you can find any given type of music, even like terrible music. If you want to hear terrible music, you can find it. Like,
yeah.
like it's definitely something out there for you. Like I've found songs that are so catered to something that I would do, even that I'm like, hey man, like I feel like I know this person. Like especially like producers and musicians amongst each other, like it's like certain stuff that's done where you know what's behind it, kind of.
Right,
You know what it takes to create the sound or whatever. So you kind of wonder how they came to that same point, because it's like I don't know this person, like, but yet they're doing this same thing.
Right.
And it's pretty crazy. But what I think will happen is we're gonna have another weird transcendence of like music. They'll incorporate something. It's gonna have to turn. It's gonna change. There's gonna be a drastic
what would
change.
cause a cultural shift in the music world at this point, besides the
They're gonna.
internet being limited?
The way they're doing it, it's just gonna be technology. Like you see how like it's gonna come back and forth. It's like I used to never know what to attribute it to. I kind of was like, okay, I think music just starts to suck at a certain point. But there's
Right.
always that point on the radio where everybody's like, yo, I'm tired of the radio. And it always comes around like every like 3-4 years, I felt like, where people are like, yo, dude, the radio is straight garbage. Like there's nobody like on there doing anything cool, right? So then it's like we get stuck in like this drone place. I've always felt like it sucks. And I'm like, what's causing that to happen, dude? And honestly, it's just like we're allowing like our music to be affected by things going on around us. Like, and they're taking the music and they're starting to use it to affect the things that they want us to learn, all this crap. And it's sad, because we are gonna see music get destroyed. But what they're gonna do is they're gonna be like, okay, we'll make music more appealing. There'll be like these little V boxes that they're starting to do where you're like having like virtual reality, and they're gonna start to do things where it's interactive, and it's gonna be like, oh, you can be part of this artist's writing process or whatever else. They're gonna just expand on the idea and make more branches of it. They're gonna exploit it more. they're not ready to let go of the music industry, and they're not gonna like just destroy it. It might be destroyed to us. Yeah, it might. Yeah, but to them, they feel like it's going great.
It's hard to tell. It's hard to view music as not so business influenced because you hear the radio. I'm like, radio is ran by corporates, and it's like, it's like watching the news. They're totally filtering what we see and don't see because they're showing us this. That might be just the top of the barrel of what's really out there, and it's so controlled. And so I know we say that
And everything has to fit a format. It has to be a format.
Do you think
for
that
popular
the
Oh yeah, formatting for sure,
do
for
you
sure.
think that the ability for everybody or anybody that even is curious about attempting to create music is kind of killing like the soul of genres? Do you think that that's what it's diluting the market? And then what? I mean, there's certain types of music where part of the thing that draws you to it is that you can hear the pain or like the struggles, and you can tell that they mean it. So if somebody's trying to
What I believe it is it's not even that people are getting an opportunity. It's dope that people are getting an opportunity. It's that people are getting an opportunity and they're getting a voice too quickly. Like, these people don't even have a sound developed. Like, they may have a sound, like, but it's like Tory Lanez. Tory Lanez just put out an album, and oh boy, who's the guy that's always saying crazy shit? Charlemagne said it didn't sound like he had a sound. And I had to agree. It sounded like, I love every song on it though, and I don't feel like a sound belongs to anyone at any given time. I'm like, you know what I'm saying? But it was still like, we have artists that don't have a genre yet, and they just put their music out there. You gotta like.
He feels that he doesn't have a sound because I think that cat's Canadian, right?
Yeah, and he's gonna have to do that
so
6 sounds.
Figure that people that aren't from the country are gonna have influences from this country, so they kind of take from a bunch of different spots instead of kind of focusing on one straight lane.
See, that's crazy because when you say that, I forget that, yeah, it is like, okay, they're in Canada. Like, I always like, because Toronto now, it's like, it's so mentioned that it's like, oh, okay, yeah, like, they're in the game. They're in the game with us. Like,
and
you know what I'm saying?
It's hard to really see how, like, when you talk about someone hasn't developed their sound yet, and as soon as they blow up, whether they like it or not, they're now susceptible to these influences that would come in only if you've already hit it, and maybe you needed to not have those influences to develop.
Exactly. There's no development. There's no development, and then there's so much competition to come out with a new sound that people don't even get to dwell on a sound. I told my friend, I was like, let's say an artist creates a new sound. We all love it. We don't even get to sit there and have different artists create their own rendition of it because that's biting. Like, it's like, no, dude, like, we could hear some crazy stuff in this time period. I had like this.
It wasn't called biting in the 60s. It was called the British invasion.
Yeah,
like,
dude.
oh, they're all doing
He
it. Now
he hit on my point saying that before the internet, right, you can pretty much mimic to the T an artist, and not enough people would hear it so that they could call it biting, and that would buy you enough time to where you developed yourself and you created your own style, and then you took it to the masses as a ready-to-go format and style.
Yeah, and it's like, even so, like, with this biting thing, it's like, back when it was like, okay, if you give someone credit for their work and they're working with you and you guys have an integrated sound, I don't see why we have to create drama out of everything. I'm like, there's bands that just sit and write together constantly. Yeah. Like, they have a front man. This front man may get lead writing credits because of their relationship. We have no idea what they discuss. But it's like, people gather from everyone, and it's like, are you going to just pick apart what's happening, or are you going to enjoy what's happening? Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm sure these people could kick out music even faster if they didn't have to go through so many politics with us. Like,
yeah,
it'd be crazy.
Right.
Because there really is a lot of red tape, like we talk about, because we talk about music from back in the day. People were able to say something. If people try to say something now, business doesn't like that. So if you try to say something like, I'm going to try to rally the people, business is like, we don't want to rally the people because then they're going to turn against us and things like that. So you have to be careful what you say now more than ever, because the gap between business and business created art versus human made art is so, it's worlds apart now.
The influence that music has is super known. Like, you know what I'm saying? You can't have these people who could they could wake up in the middle of the night and tweet something that could change economies. You know what I'm saying? Like, Beyonce could wake up and tweet something that could change the world.
Well, what about,
because that's how influential she is. Like, whether we want to, like, you know, validate that or not.
Yeah. What about social media oversaturating a specific artist? Where
I
people
can't
get-
stand that stuff.
People go from discovering somebody to liking
You were
him to
just-
being tired of him.
Dude,
in
I
a
was
matter of
just
6
talking
months.
about that this morning, and I hate to say it, dude. I was talking about The Weeknd, and I was like, dude, somebody mentioned like, yo, we haven't listened to The Weeknd in forever, and I was like, you know what, man, I'm kind of tired of him, and it like came out of my mouth, and I was like, ah.
I call myself saying, like, things he's done made you lose
Yeah,
that.
dude, I love
There's
like the
nothing you
trilogy
can do.
stuff, and I hate to be that person because I don't feel like he fell off. I feel like he's talented. Like he's talented. Like he's still dope. He's still gonna be dope. But like I listen to him now, and I hear a voice that's being marketed to me. It's like a Target commercial. It's like it's like Drake almost too, man. Drake's getting to the point where when I hear Drake on a track, I know exactly what's coming.
So far,
Like,
they're all Canadian, right?
Yeah, they do have like that marketing
Why are
down.
they all Canadian?
See, it's because of that. It's because they get to develop their style without us knowing because they're so far away. Is that by the time that they got enough like road
That
time
could
and
like yeah,
Okay.
that's a trip.
They
I'll-
come
That's a
here,
trip.
they're
Ah,
already-
that is- yeah,
they're
that is a
already-
trip.
They're already super seasoned by the time they
I'll
come
bring a band into it for fun, just for
Interesting.
fun. Let's talk about like No Doubt. Like people loved No Doubt as they were, but you cannot help but being like that girl is marketable. Like if we could pull her from that group, we could make her so much damn more money. We can get her fashion line going. But we got to get her from that band first, and they
Yeah.
did, and it totally shit on them. And and I love No Doubt, but when they got back together, it was never the same. It was
Yeah,
never.
It kind of shit on both brands.
But she's
because-
also,
Yeah, it did.
she's
Like-
also a singer-songwriter though.
Yeah, like I got mad respect for her because she's dope. She's just a dope character
She
to
really
me.
is.
But like the thing is like when the band when it pulled away, I always knew the brands as one. I always knew the brands as one. When I heard Gwen Stefani, I was like
That's No
imagining
Doubt.
somewhere in my head that No Doubt was somewhere involved.
Yes.
I was like, oh, okay, well, but like brand separation or not, it's like, yeah, dude, you had a good thing rolling. Like, who knows what happened, but still, I feel like they take energy and they just throw it away. Even if, like, let's say something happened, but then again, what if nothing happened? And they like just literally did it for money.
Is it
You know what I'm saying? Like they do that kind of shit all the time. So
is
it's
it
like,
possible for an artist with a very specific genre? Because genre, when you have a genre, you are limited to the people that are in that that culture. Well, is it still possible for a company, or even marketable for a company, would they even take a chance on risking somebody that's limited, like the were in the '90s, where you had this guy that did very clearly one specific style of music, but hopefully he broke through because of MTV or the radio.
I have an example of that. This is crazy, but I look at I said this in the 90s. Justin Timberlake, he did the Beatles were a pop artist, discovered drugs, grew out of it. Justin Timberlake started as a pop artist, NSYNC, totally molded, and said, screw that. I'm going to go hook up with Timbaland, who I know is dope. Pharrell, who I know is dope. And I'm going to like smoke weed with
But
Snoop, and I'm going to say, fuck
but
it.
even-
And he was able to create his own thing. Maybe we can say, yeah, he is
Miley
a talented-
Cyrus.
Yeah, they're
Well, no,
talented people.
even Snoop Dogg, right? Snoop Dogg had one amazing album and a couple of really good guest appearances. But other than that, what has he really done in the last 30 years that he has?
Be careful with that.
No, I'm serious.
Hold on, be careful with that.
Why is he so relevant? if
Snoop
he's
is a
not
household
That's
name.
punk.
Snoop is a
Yeah, it
household
is
name.
punk.
Like Arm & Hammer.
Posting on-
But he,
You go Arm &
No,
Hammer.
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. Like, but it comes to this. It comes to this because, like, if you
careful
listen
with
to like, it's like, yeah,
No,
it's
but
like this.
I know exactly.
It is. It's like this. Yeah, it is. It's straight sacrilege.
all that shit.
Yeah, no, it is. It is, but it's like ugly to talk about, but it's like so real because like these people, like,
No, it's
it's like
sacrilege.
these people are the people that we look to coach the youth. We're telling the youth, hey, you're supposed to act like these fools, but really, like,
Do we want our kids to act like Snoop?
like
No,
I
like,
fuck
kids
with
like-
Snoop. I fuck with Uncle Snoop. Like it's like it was a
But
good
what,
persona
like,
for the
what,
90s.
What, like, I mean, you
But really,
well,
like,
you can name five things he's done.
there's not gonna
in
be
the
another
music
Snoop.
world. In
You
the
can't be
music
out here
world.
trying to be Snoop. That's
If
thing
you're
one.
just saying music, what
He's
I'm
just
trying to say.
but it's because he's a personality.
You know what?
over a
Here's the thing.
musician.
You know
He
what
is
he
a
is?
personality.
Here's the thing. He's nice to
I like
people,
Press Play, though.
and
Press Play was cool.
That matters a lot. Because if you're a dick, no one wants to work with you. Snoop is a nice guy, so people want to work with
He's a
him.
great brand. That
Yeah.
He's like I'll give him. He's a very intelligent brand.
Look how many of those people want to work with Kanye because he's kind of a jerk.
The weirdest. I gotta like, dude. I have no opinion on Kanye until I like meet Kanye. I really can't because I have no idea what he's doing.
He probably. I bet he's a
I
really
think that's
cool
his
dude to
idea.
sit and have a
Yeah,
real
dude.
life.
Just the music
I
and
bet he would
stand
blow
Like
your
his music?
mind talking.
As
stand
Kanye?
alone. Just based on
Okay,
the music.
just Kanye's music. I think Live Pablo was probably one of the greatest things ever.
'Cause
And
I've
niggas
always-
are gonna be
he
pissed.
I've always liked him because I like
Yeah,
people,
dude.
I like
He's a
people that
great
are just
producer.
straight
Pablo
up.
is so great,
Kanye-ass
dude.
album, huh?
Pablo, yeah, that was so Kanye.
He
I
did
was like,
so much Hard Knock.
when I heard like
Hard Knock
shit
Life,
like, yeah, dude.
His
When I heard like 30 hours on like Life of Pablo, like stuff like that, like real emotional, like him just talking about like random shit type records, I was like, this is cool. Like,
Like,
Yeah,
you
I was
wanna
like,
talk
this
about
is
who people
super
talk about
cool.
30 years? People will be talking about Kanye in
Right.
30 years
But
because
he's
he's
like
so
an-
eclectic.
he's
That's what
insane.
makes people
Yeah.
special. Like, dude, if you're I'm a weirdo. Being a weirdo sells. And
Kanye's
like,
a rock star, dude. Like when it comes to
Yes.
the word rock star, like I hear a lot of people say it, and I'm like, whatever, dude. Like you
He's
do
a
what thing.
rock star. and a
Kanye's a
half.
rock star, bro.
He could like do coke and slap people, and people would be like, yeah,
Yeah, Kanye.
dude,
Yeah, exactly.
I want him to hang with Axl Rose and Pantera and be
My
like,
nigga.
dude,
I think
Yeah.
people just relate to artists that are artists, like that you think, like if they wanted to make a movie, they'd probably be good at that, or people any art form that they would be good
Yeah,
at.
like artistic people, because you can feel true art. That's why. Because you
Yes.
can feel the difference between, like, I know when I hear a record. I was just talking about it with Bryson Tiller. We were listening to Exchange, and I was like, yo, bruh, I don't know this nigga. I don't know anything about his writing, but this song is too realistic. Like, I was like, that's why Tamia, like, back in the 90s, like, Tamia, I honestly think she is not famous because her music is too real. Like, I was like, her writing, she's a great writer, has a crazy voice. And I was like, dude, she's just too realistic. People don't want to listen to this. I was like, I can't listen to this.
Yeah,
like
you're
that.
right, huh?
Yeah, it's like, people don't want to listen to it. When you're listening to something where it's like touching on everything, you're like, something that happened to you that day, you're like, okay, that's like,
And she was hot as shit too.
yeah, dude, it's like that. That's for later. Let's not listen to that right now.
sometimes people say things to like I think if Sublime didn't write their music to such catchy shit, they wouldn't have got away with being like, we just did tons of drugs and stole
Oh
it
yeah,
and
no,
forgot about.
hell yeah! I was thinking
Sublime-
about that the other day.
Sublime
That's
is
super
awesome,
true.
But they're so catchy. You're like, yeah, I want to steal you. I want to steal my speakers too.
Yeah,
It sounds
dude, they
cool.
like a straight
They
riot
were
song
also
about committing
representative for
crime.
their entire lifestyle though.
Yeah, like
Dog,
everybody
that
has had
shit's
that. What the
hard.
hell happened this morning? Like he writes about that, like just
Yeah.
being fucked up and just everyday life. Like,
R.I.P.
so-
man, that's crazy.
What about moving away from music? Are we in the Matrix?
Yes,
Are we living
this
in a
is my
simulation?
category.
Oh god.
Are
This
we
is my
living in
category.
a simulation?
We are in a flat Earth.
He is flat
No,
Earth theory.
See, what I think is that we are entertained.
Flat
That's
Earth
what
theory.
we
I
need
ain't
to
gonna
go
say
to the-
shit.
Oh,
No, no,
yeah.
I don't know. No.
What
I don't
I think
know
is,
if
I think we're in a simulation for higher life forms and where they're entertainment. Because
Yeah, I know.
everything
Like
is
South Park?
everything is
Like, what the
ironic
fuck?
or contradictory.
I'll tell you what I think, man. I
I
think
know
this.
everything.
I
Oh, this
think-
shit's so weird.
Alright, I think this. I freaking I have this thing that happens to me a lot, and I'm really, people keep trying to give me different words for it and shit, but I call it my coma world.
Happened again though, so it's this morning.
Yeah, I
With
call it
dude
my
that came
coma
in.
world, and like people that I tend to be around, like I don't know if it's happened to them before or if they just start noticing it because I talk about it so much, but I basically like we manifest things very quickly in this room. Like we'll talk about people and they'll walk in, like, and so like it the synchronicity is what everyone calls it, is where like everything happens to all of us now, like where it's just situations that are too blunt. Like true story, I'm at work, right, and I got in like some stupid fight with my best friend earlier, like the night before, and I basically ended up like hopping out this car acting stupid while the car was like moving, and I fucked my back up, and like so I messed my back up, and I go to work the next morning and I'm like, dude, I freaking like, I'm telling my manager, I'm like, I need a chiropractor. Like I'm just kind of, we're just kind of chatting about it. And the phone rings. She picks up the phone. She looks at it and she goes, no. She goes, well, my coworker does. I like took the phone and he goes, hi, I am from such and such chiropractic. We're doing free consultations for giving out like non-perishable items, like that kind of like real obvious stuff where like it's pretty crazy.
Did you go on the internet?
Huh?
Did you go on
No,
the internet and
no.
type up like back
No, dude, they called me at my job. They called the job,
Oh, okay,
like
okay,
Zoomies.
Jeez.
Like, dude, yeah, dude, like it was just some random call. We thought it was like there's a system that calls us all day, and we thought it was just a system. And she picked it up and she was like, "But yeah, dude, it's like stuff like that. It's like real obvious stuff."
It is
And
weird,
so
like-
I was like, I told my friend, like, I call it my coma world. And, like, I told him, I was like, I think I'm in a coma. And, like, I told everyone, I was like, you know what, dude? It says, like, it says a lot that we can, like, start to time, because me and BD have been talking about it a lot, that you can, like, time and kind of predict, like, different things from people and kind of predict different situations. And I told my boy one day, I was, like, driving, and we were in Vegas, and I was coming back from Vegas, and I, like, looked at him, and I was like, are we in hell? And he was like, what? And I was like, what if this is hell, dude? And he was like,
What if it's limbo?
dude, I was like, what the hell?
You ever,
And it,
you ever
dude,
think or
it
talk
just
about
hit me out
somebody
of
you haven't
nowhere.
seen in a while, and you see him within a week?
Have
You're
you
Yeah,
like,
done
dude, it's
I
too
was
crazy.
just talking about when we were like,
Having so
we were
much.
used to like, and we went to like Hudson's
I
Grill
think
and it's
this-
not there, and there you are.
I think that the
Oh,
reason that kind of stuff happens, I think that this is the thing, and it's gonna sound crazy, but I think that we have forgotten so many things. Like, there's so much old technology and purpose that we used to have, and we don't belong solely here. I think that we have so much energy that we can influence things here because the Earth is really small.
Right.
The
It
Earth
really
is so
is.
small.
It
When you
really
think about how
is.
big the universe is, and you think about like the human body, like one human being is so intricate. Like in just the space of this Earth, like it's like
Just the machinery
yeah,
alone
dude,
of
like
a body.
it's like the stuff we build even is getting to the point where it's like, how are we
Yeah.
doing
I
this?
look at a street, I'm like,
Like,
humans did these streets.
yeah, man, like
I've noticed that. I've noticed that your consciousness does affect your environment a lot. It's just our brains filter it
it
out.
seems like we're just growing so fast now, though. It's like, think about it. Like I told my friend, I was like, we went from having in my lifetime, my dad had cassette tapes.
Right.
By the time I was like, however old, we had CDs. The CDs are almost obsolete now. Like,
Yeah.
it's like, dude, we are moving through stuff so quick. Like,
Man, the idea of the every technology we have nowadays, it's being
dude, and that's like not even
anything.
anything.
Like we know
Like,
that
that's
what we have
audio.
is
The
gonna be
fucking-
obsolete. We're like, oh, this is
And
gonna
I'm
be
like,
old.
dude,
Oh, this is
I look
gonna
at
be
my
China
phone
fucking
and I
adapt.
just am like,
like,
whoa, dude. Yeah, dude, I'm just like, dude, this thing can do so much.
And
I can
then-
do like pretty much anything I
And
want.
there's a group of people sitting there. That guy's phone can't do anything. Wait till you see what we make. Like,
Yeah,
what?
yeah, dude.
People are
This guy's gonna have his phone on his wrist.
these,
and you're gonna be able
these
to not
se-
touch
these
it and
sex
stuff.
robots people have.
Yeah,
now,
dude,
like,
I'm
what?
like, are you serious? These are
Like-
like human beings. Like, what's
Yeah,
up with
like,
these
what?
people, dude? Like, the world is wild, bro. The world is stupid
Well,
wild.
do you think that that's just a thought that we have the luxury of thinking because we're so safe and so protected?
I think that the world has always been wild. I was talking about this the other day. The world's always been wild. We just haven't been as like privy to it as we are now because it gets shared so often. Like you see stuff. Like I've been seeing like, I told people I was like, they are trying to ruin relationships because I've been seeing females do stuff on social media where I'm like, yo, I'm never dating nobody. Like, I'm like, yo, man, this cannot happen. But like, it's crazy, man. Just
Yeah.
seeing who people are,
Well,
like
it's like
on
it's
film. It's like, you know, you're on film right now, bro. Like people, anyone who tells me something stupid, like I don't care. I don't care if I'm on film. Why? Why?
well, it's like
that
I
does
tell-
not make you hard, bro.
It's like I tell everybody,
Makes you foolish.
We grew up in a society where you're told you're special since you're a little kid, right? And everybody has different needs and different priorities.
Mm.
And then you add on like whatever influences their siblings
Yeah,
had
no.
on them, and then you're expected to sync up priorities when you're already
Yeah.
a full-grown adult
hmm
for an extended number of
Yeah,
time.
you're
We
gonna
were
talk
talking
to
about
be
this.
a dreamer, and then when you grow up, they're like, "Well, now you're gonna have to get a job.
We
and
were-
put
yeah.
your dreams aside."
No,
because you need
we're
to make
taught,
money."
dude. It's
What?
just
I
like this.
feel
It's
I
like
can do
this.
anything I
And
want.
I'm gonna
Like,
freaking
can you
take
do
it here,
anything I
dude.
want?
I'm gonna
Can
take
you
it
make up
here.
your mind?
That's exactly.
And it's gonna like I told everybody I was like, I'm not even gonna talk about this, but I am gonna talk about this, dude. It's like the freaking, it's like this Colin Kaepernick thing going on right now, man.
Thank you.
Like, this is how I feel, dude. I'm like, dude, you want me to respect, okay, and the national anthem. The leaders don't respect this country. Like, you have people, we have all these veterans on here fighting through comments, and I see veterans one week, they're yelling about this, and then I have friends that are in the military, and they are so mad at the benefits. They're so mad at the state the military leaves them in. And it's like, you're basically arguing against a stance that you need to take as well.
Right.
Your country does not do right by you. Why are you defending them over something that you can't understand? This is a step. Like, you're sitting here thinking that we're trying to do something for ourselves. No, it's a step. Like,
People hate
it's
when you-
crazy, dude.
People hate when you mess with tradition, though.
And people have been talking about this forever. I'm going to stop saying people. I'm going to say the black community has been waiting for someone to do this forever. The fact that they are not all behind him, the fact that not every single person every black person that says they have anything to do with being black hasn't tweeted him and shown any type of support or whatever is a sham, dude. Like, that's, you guys are all pussies as a collective group.
Do you think that he's coming off as like a douchey millennial?
No. I think he's coming off as somebody who, like, actually did something, dude, and it might get him
You
killed.
don't think that you don't think he comes off as pretentious or self?
I think that he might come off as self-righteous because people are thinking, okay, yeah, he makes a lot of money. It's like I saw a tweet today. It said, so these people want this man to run, jump, and almost die for money, and that makes him American. But when he speaks, our voices make us niggers. It's where it goes, because it's like, who cares if he has money, even if he was someone.
Well, right. Do you
Like-
think that the fact that he has such notoriety and so much money and he's doing what is probably considered douchey,
He could have done it sooner.
But do you think that's what put the target on his back, or do you think it's the fact
What's
that
gonna
he's
put the
black?
target on his back is two things. People feel like he's irrelevant, kind of ish. So people are gonna
Yeah,
feel
if he
like
was
it's kind of
better,
a
he- like
yeah. If he'd
Carmelo
have done it
Anthony
at the
can
top
say
before he
more.
made all that money, if he'd have done it at the top before they gave him that contract and said, "Yo, I'm not gonna play for your team if you don't like put something. Let me make a statement. Let me do something." If you'd have been there then, you weren't saying this kind of stuff when they were signing your contract. But at the same time, it still takes. Yeah, at the same time, so his motivation is going to be in question. But at the same time, motivation, whatever, it takes a lot to do
That's
that.
a good point, because he needs to be
Yeah,
relevant.
he needs to,
be
but he might
relevant,
get
right?
cut now. So it's like he
Yeah.
might get. So at the same time, the consequences are the same. Even if you're trying to do something for a cause, you have to be like, okay, yeah, I'm doing it for a cause. Let's say he's trying to get relevant, right? He's trying to get relevant, but you're definitely chopping off an arm. Like, you just did something that a lot of people are very, very, very pissed about.
Do you think
Like, people are burning your jersey and stuff.
Do you think pre-Super Bowl 49ers Kaepernick would have gotten a straight pass or less heat?
It's hard to
He
say.
was like on top of the world. I don't
He
see
was
him
on
even
top of
doing
the
that.
world. He was the
He-
poster boy.
I think more people would have stood behind him, and what's really a thing about it is, even no matter how much his stance weighs, it's hard for me to imagine. Okay, like how does that affect the team chemistry? And that brings us this other aspect, because he was adopted. He has certain upbringings where, like, if people were like, "Dude, you grew up hood," and it was like, but then like a privileged family. So some people might have different opinions on him, and then on the team, they're like, "Hey, you know what? Maybe we want you to take that
Yeah.
stance. Could you do it outside on our own terms
Yeah.
together? Because you're
That's
doing it.
interesting.
You're doing it when our mind, even if you're right, our minds have to be on football." We
Yeah,
agree
no,
with
that
you,
you're there for
but
your
can we
job at
agree
the end
with
of the
you
day.
outside of
Honestly,
work? Like,
yeah.
clock out and we'll go take a stance.
That is great, because that comes from what you're talking about. That super comes from what you're talking about, where people are saying, okay, he's adopted, he's kind of a snotty kid. Because what it shows, what it's going to show in people's minds is like a lack of respect. It's going to show a lack of respect for his job and a lack of respect for all kinds of things. But what we have to do, dude, is we have to look at what's happening with every single situation. Every time something comes up, we do come up with like 90 different reasons for why it should or shouldn't have been. We need to take the action, cut and dry, see what it stands for, and cut it. Like, we gotta just be like, what happened? National anthem that day. This character, regardless of who he is, did this. It affects us all. It has to be judged
It's part of the
dry.
bigger picture.
We-
Like,
yeah.
yeah, crap's going on because people are willing to take a stand.
Yeah, see,
No matter what
Exactly,
the
dude. Like, it's gonna
circumstances.
get
That's how bad
thrown
things are now.
around
People are
every
like,
time
"Fuck
something
it,
happens."
I'll take a stand right now
See,
because that's how people are. Like, you know what?
Trump never held
He
his
might
hand
have-
over his heart during the things, and like the same people calling out Kaepernick probably shit on the president.
Exactly. What's more important, the Pledge of Allegiance or the national anthem? I would say the Pledge of
I was
Allegiance.
saying either way, nobody knows what they mean word for word. You
Exactly.
can run,
Like,
okay,
it's
tell me
just
what they
something you
mean. Like,
mumble.
okay, break it down. What's it mean?
Like, these people don't know. Exactly. Like, there was somebody who put a Facebook post the other day. They said it was like a permission slip to have your kid not say the Pledge of Allegiance. I was like, but people can do that, but this guy gets flack over a song?
Yeah,
Like,
I think
yo,
that-
man, if you're not paying that man royalties, then you're all wrong. Like,
yeah, because it is written.
he should be
song,
making
you are
bank.
right.
Yeah, man, you guys they always want to go to the letter of the
I
rule
think they had gotten
when
rid
it's
of it,
not
and they brought it
time.
back as a sign of unification for the country and all that. stuff.
They made it like free market. Like,
Yeah, it's the I don't even know if unification means. I think our nation's built off people being divided from the beginning.
Exactly.
Like, our country couldn't work if everybody was unified.
What-
That's
You figure at,
Exactly.
our very core, we are a country which, no matter who you are or what culture you are, your descendants were all dissenters, all people that when you know I'm from here, and I'm going over there.
Yeah.
Or
Like my
fuck you,
dad
I'm-
didn't want to stay on Guam. My dad's like, I'm gonna get the hell out of there. Like everyone wanted to come to
Yeah. Oh,
America
yeah.
no matter what. So everybody's coming from
We
different
just, yeah,
cultures.
we just
Everybody's
instinctually shit on shit.
escaping.
That's what
We
I'm
would
gonna
all
do.
do the. It's like we would all do the same thing, dude. Like if America went to hell, we're trying to get out of here, man. People are human beings. You're trying to go to where it's no longer hell anymore. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like that's just human nature. What are you gonna do? Just stand there and die? Like nobody expects anyone to do that, and like they shouldn't expect it of everyone else. Like this is so whack. Like, oh yeah, look at those people. Look at those refugees. They're so lame. Like
Live
really?
their life. Like, do you know what their life is?
Yeah, dude,
I
I'm
try
like,
to imagine waking up.
really,
to be somebody.
dog?
Like, what would it be like to wake up in Serbia or Kosovo? Like, I would weep waking up. Like, that's what I wake up.
Exactly, dude.
Just thinking about.
I
Like,
think
we're
you just-
so lucky.
You just assess reality based on what you know, though. So they don't know. They don't know they're bad. I mean, I'm sure poor people don't know they're poor if they have food.
No, but the news doesn't help.
Yeah, the news doesn't help. They probably like honestly the thing is media is a huge problem. Media as far as like the manipulation of it is the problem.
Well, yeah,
Like we
the
don't know what's
media-
going on.
The media's created a sort of Democles situation for everybody.
Yeah, nobody knows what's going on. And if you don't know what's going on, you can't do anything. That's just the basis of doing something is
Yeah,
knowing
and-
what
and
you're
again,
doing.
touching on being the information era, now we trust our news less and less because we're like, well, why don't I just see what somebody was there posting?
Exactly, and
Like,
I know
okay,
the
they were there, that's
affiliation
what
of
it looked
each.
like instead of seeing Fox or CNN.
That's why
But
Twitter's
it's
my
like,
news, low
there's
key.
Jim was there.
Yeah,
that's what he
man.
said. Like, there's his
Exactly.
post.
I like hearing
Because
news.
Twitter's like, hey, I was right there.
Yeah, I like hearing news
Cool,
from
let
people
me
that
see
aren't
his
biased.
post.
So I just do social media.
Yeah, dude.
And then I research it.
I love lying to
Alright.
people because if
Do
you
we
can't
have-
lie to people, I'm just kidding.
Do we have another topic? Do we have another topic besides this? Anybody want to hit another topic?
Yeah, we can get it. What do you
Masturbating, it's a touchy subject.
We're gonna have
Just
to,
kidding.
we're gonna have to wrap this
Get
up
it?
pretty soon.
You're gonna have to wrap this up pretty soon.
I had to throw that joke out there. but
All right.
Masturbation, touchy
So
subject.
we'll end on this. Who agrees that we're in a simulation?
Simulation,
What-
that's
what's
an interesting
Like
thing.
the Matrix.
Anybody?
I think
Anybody just straight
I
agree
think
on
we're
it?
all in Similac
I
at
don't
some
shoot
point.
it down, but I don't.
I wouldn't shoot it down. I wouldn't shoot it down.
I wouldn't shoot it
It
down,
makes
but I
sense.
wouldn't blow it.
Everybody agrees with me on the Snoop Dogg thing, right?
No.
Snoop Dogg.
No.
Oh, about
no,
the 30
because
no,
Snoop's
'cause
the
I like-
household name,
I
he
like
did everyone. He's gonna
RNG and-
slap us all.
We gotta wait till he's dead.
I like
I'm like,
press
Snoop
play.
shot my girlfriend, everyone. That was awesome.
That was
like,
cool.
Nobody's gonna.
Is his body of work enough to justify his relevance in the culture? Though?
Yes.
Yes.
Really?
Because he's Donald.
Clock. Yes. Kool-Aid just came out too, and Kool-Aid was fire.
All right.
Yeah,
we'll
dude,
end it. We'll end it on. We'll
I
end it
love
on
Dan
that.
Funk too.
Yeah, exactly.